Alan Wright rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the screen again. For 3 days, the strange signal had been getting stronger. At first, he thought it was just space noise, but now he was sure it was something else. Something not from Earth. "Hey, Joe, come look at this," Alan called to his co-worker across the quiet room of Horizon Point, the old space station orbiting Neptune. Joe Miller walked over, coffee mug in hand. "What's up? More space junk?" "No, this is different. Look at the pattern. It repeats, but not in any way our satellites or ships would send signals." Joe leaned closer to the screen. His eyes widened. "You think it's them? Aliens?" Alan nodded slowly. "I do. And I think they're calling for help." Within hours, the news reached Earth. The signal was real, and it was getting translated bit by bit. Earth's leaders gathered and made a quick choice. They would send help. The UES Pathfinder, Earth's newest and best ship, would go check it out. Captain Susan Morgan stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder looking at her crew. They were the best Earth had. Smart, brave, and ready for anything. But were they ready for actual aliens? "Attention, crew," Susan said over the ship's speakers. "We're heading to the edge of our solar system. We don't know what we'll find, but we will help if we can. That's what humans do." Dr. Frank Ellis couldn't believe he was here. After 30 years studying the idea of alien life, he was going to meet the real thing. His hands shook as he set up his lab on the Pathfinder. "Nervous, Doc?" asked Lieutenant Kelly Richards as she entered the lab. The young engineer always seemed calm, even now. "Wouldn't you be? This changes everything, Kelly. Everything we know about life, about the universe." Kelly grinned. "I'm just excited to see how their ships work." The Pathfinder took 10 days to reach the signal source. When they got there, no one was ready. For what they saw, not one alien ship, but hundreds, maybe 1,000 huge ships, dark and still in space. "My God," Susan whispered. "It's an entire fleet." Frank moved closer to the view screen. "They're huge. That main ship must be 20 times bigger than the Pathfinder." "And they're all dead in the water," Kelly added. "No power readings. They're running on emergency systems only." Susan straightened her uniform. "Open a channel, wide broadcast. Let's say hello." The first message was simple. "This is Captain Susan Morgan of the Earth ship Pathfinder. We received your distress call. How can we help?" For a long minute, there was no answer. Then the screen flickered, and they saw an alien for the first time. It had blue-gray skin, 4 eyes set in a wide face, and a mouth that seemed too small for talking. But talk it did. "This is Admiral Zakhtar of the Galactic Conclave Exploration Fleet. You understand our signal?" The computer was working hard to translate, but it was working. Susan nodded. "We did. It took time, but yes, you need help." The alien seemed confused. "You are from the third planet? You have space travel?" Our scans showed only basic technology. "We're full of surprises," Susan said with a small smile. "May we come aboard to see how we can help?" After some talk among the aliens, they agreed. Susan picked a small team, herself, Dr. Ellis for first contact, and Lieutenant Richards to check out their technology. The alien ship was amazing. Huge hallways. Big enough for giants, strange lights that seemed to float in the air, and aliens of all kinds. Some had 6 legs, others had wings, and one looked like a walking plant. But they all looked worried. Admiral Zakhtar led them to a big room with a view of the other ships. "Our fleet was mapping this sector when we hit something. Not a physical object, but how do you say, a fold in space. It damaged our drive systems. We cannot move or call for help beyond short range." Kelly was already looking at the strange panels on the wall. "Some kind of quantum drive? Can I see the engine room?" The aliens looked at each other. One that looked like a tall insect spoke up. "You would not understand our technology. It is far beyond your science." Susan stepped forward. "Lieutenant Richards is one of our best engineers. She might surprise you." "Even if she can't fix it," Frank added, "maybe we can help in other ways." "Food?" Medical help? Admiral Zikatar made a sound like bells ringing. Susan realized it was laughter. Your offer is kind but strange. Your small ship helping our armada? You have no idea what you face. We have 12 different species here, over 50,000 individuals, and food stores for only another month. Susan didn't back down. Then we better get started. Earth isn't far. We can bring more ships, more people. The alien seemed shocked. You would do this? For strangers? For aliens who could be a threat? Susan looked the Admiral straight in his 4 eyes. You're not threatening us. You need help. Where I come from, that's all we need to know. While Susan talked with the Admiral, Kelly got permission to see the engine room. What she found was both amazing and confusing. The aliens used energy in ways humans had only dreamed about, but the damage was clear. The ships were dead in space. An alien engineer with 6 arms showed Kelly the damaged parts. The filament disrupted our quantum field alignment. We cannot recreate the field without parts from our homeworld. Kelly looked carefully at everything. Has anyone tried bypassing the main system? Maybe use the backup power to jumpstart the primary drives? The alien engineer looked confused. That would be dangerous, imprecise, not how things are done. Sometimes, Kelly said with a smile, dangerous and imprecise is all you've got. Back on the Pathfinder, the team shared what they learned. The aliens were in real trouble. Without help, they would run out of food and air before their homeworlds could send help, if they even knew where to look. We need to call Earth, Susan said. We need every ship we've got, and we need to figure out how to fix their drives. Frank looked worried. They're way ahead of us in some ways, but they seem stuck. Like they can't think outside their normal way of doing things. Kelly nodded excitedly. That's it exactly. Their technology is amazing, but when it breaks, they only know the right way to fix it. We need to show them some human creativity. Susan sent the message to Earth. The response was quick. All available ships were on their way. Humanity's first big test had come, and they weren't going to fail. As more human ships arrived over the next few days, the aliens watched in wonder. These humans, with their small ships and simple technology, were working day and night to help complete strangers from another world. Why do they help us? An alien asked Admiral Zikatar. What do they gain? The Admiral watched as a small human ship delivered fresh water to a stranded alien vessel. Perhaps they help because they can. Perhaps that is enough for them. And for the first time since the accident, the Admiral felt something new. Hope. The news of the alien fleet reached Earth like a tidal wave. People gathered around screens everywhere, watching the fuzzy images of the stranded ships. Some felt fear, others excitement, but most felt a strange mix of both. In meeting rooms around the world, leaders argued about what to do next. This could be a trick, said one general, his face stern. A way to get our help before they attack. Or it could be exactly what it looks like, countered a scientist. A chance to meet other intelligent life and show who we really are. After hours of debate, they made a choice that would change human history. Earth would help the aliens, no strings attached. Every ship that could fly would join the rescue. Back at the alien fleet, Kelly Richards worked with a team of alien engineers. They spoke different languages and came from different worlds, but they all understood the problem. The ships couldn't move. Your quantum drive works by creating a bubble of altered space-time, right? Kelly asked the 6-armed alien engineer, named Pelk. Pelk made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. Correct, but the filament damaged our field generators. Without the exact parts, we cannot repair them. Kelly walked around the massive engine room thinking. The alien technology was amazing, but also very rigid. Everything had one right way to work, one right way to be fixed. What if, Kelly said, slowly, we don't fix it the right way? What if we find a different way? The aliens looked at her like she was crazy. There is no different way, said Pelk. The generators must be precise. But Kelly had an idea forming. Our fusion engines aren't as advanced as yours, but they create a lot of power. What if we use our engines to jumpstart your quantum field? The aliens buzzed with disagreement. Impossible, said one. Too dangerous, said another. Kelly didn't give up. Let me show you with a small test. If it works on a small scale, maybe it will work on the big ships too. While Kelly worked on her idea, Captain Susan Morgan met with Admiral Zikatar on his command deck. The massive room had screens showing all the stranded ships. More of your ships arrive every day, said the Admiral. But I don't understand why. You help us. Susan looked at the screens. Because it's the right thing to do. Because someday we might need help too. The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked slowly. In the galactic conclave, species only help others when there is something to gain. Treaties, resources, technology. That's a sad way to live, Susan said. On Earth we have a saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed. The Admiral made a sound Susan couldn't understand. Friend? We are strangers. Different species. For now, Susan said with a smile. But that can change. On a small alien shuttle, Kelly worked with Pelk and 2 human engineers. They connected cables from a human portable fusion generator to the shuttle's quantum field emitters. This should not work, Pelk said again. The energies are not compatible. Let's find out, Kelly said, and turned on the power. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shuttle's lights flickered on. A soft hum filled the air. On a screen, numbers and alien symbols appeared. It's working, Kelly shouted. The field, she is forming. Pelk's 6 arms moved in excited gestures. I do not understand how, but yes, it works. The field is stable at 17% capacity. That's enough to move the shuttle, Kelly said. If we can scale this up. News of the breakthrough spread through both fleets. Soon Admiral Zikatar called a meeting with all the human ship captains and alien leaders. The human Kelly Richards has found a way to power our field generators, the Admiral announced. It is not perfect, but it may allow us to move our ships to a repair facility. Captain Gary Peterson of the mining vessel Deep Horizon raised his hand. My ship has the biggest fusion plant in the human fleet. We can help power the biggest alien ships. Other captains offered their ships too. A plan formed. Human vessels would dock with alien ships, sharing power and resources. It would take weeks, but it might work. As humans and aliens began working together, Dr. Frank Ellis noticed something strange. He was talking with alien scientists, learning about their worlds and history, when he realized they kept asking the same questions about humans. You seem surprised by how we solve problems, Frank said to an alien scientist named Mrel, who looked like a tall blue humanoid with no hair, nodded. Your species approaches problems in ways we do not understand. You try methods that should not work, but they do work, Frank pointed out. Yes, said Mrel. That is what confuses us. In our history, all intelligent species follow similar development paths. Logical, structured, predictable. But humans, you are different. Frank was curious now. Different how? Mrel seemed uncomfortable. You maintain primitive traits alongside advanced thinking. You use emotion in your decisions. You try risky solutions. You compete with each other even while working together. Those are just human nature, Frank said. No, said Mrel. Those are traits that other species bred out or evolved past. Species that think like yours usually destroy themselves before reaching space. Frank felt a chill. What do you mean? Aggression, competition, risk-taking. These traits lead to conflict, to war. Most species that keep these traits use their technology to destroy themselves. But not all of them, Frank said. No, said Mrel. Not all. But you are the first we have met. As days turned into weeks, the joint fleet made progress. 5 alien ships now had enough power to move slowly. It wasn't much, but it was a start. On the command deck of the Pathfinder, Susan looked at the latest reports. Earth had sent every ship it could spare. Food, water, and supplies were flowing to the alien fleet. Human engineers like Kelly were working day and night on the power problem. Captain, called a communications officer. We're getting a signal from the edge of the system. More ships are coming. Susan felt a moment of hope. Reinforcements from Earth? No, Captain. They're alien ships, a lot of them. Admiral Zekatar joined Susan on the bridge as the new ships appeared on the long-range scanners. There were dozens of them, much bigger than any in the stranded fleet. "The Conclave has found us," the Admiral said, his voice low. "Those are diplomatic ships." "That's good, right?" Susan asked. "They can help with the rescue." The Admiral's four eyes looked troubled. "Captain Morgan, you must understand. My mission was unauthorized. An exploration outside safe zones. When we did not return on schedule, they would have sent ships to find any remains. They did not expect to find us alive." "What does that mean for us? For Earth?" "It means," said the Admiral, "that your world is about to meet the Galactic Conclave much sooner than either of us planned. And they may not share my gratitude for your help." As the massive alien ships grew closer, Susan realized this was no longer just a rescue mission. It was first contact with a galactic civilization, and Earth's future might depend on what happened next. On the deep horizon, Captain Peterson watched as his engineers worked side by side with aliens twice their size. They had different languages, different bodies, different ways of thinking, but they were finding common ground in the work. "Never thought I'd see the day," he said to his first officer. "Humans and aliens working together like this." "They're not so different," the first officer replied. "They want to live, same as us." Peterson nodded. "And now we've got more aliens coming. Hope they're as friendly as these ones." "If not," said the first officer with a smile, "we'll just have to show them some human hospitality, too." As the diplomatic fleet drew closer, humans and aliens alike looked up from their work. The next chapter in their shared story was about to begin, and no one knew how it would end. The massive mining vessel Deep Horizon was never meant to be pretty. It was built for one job: to break apart asteroids and collect valuable minerals. Now it was doing something very different. Captain Gary Peterson watched from the control room as his ship's powerful fusion engines fed energy into the alien cruiser beside them. "How's the power transfer holding?" Gary asked his chief engineer. "Steady at 85%, the engineer replied. "But their systems are taking it better than expected. The modifications Lieutenant Richards designed are working." Gary nodded with satisfaction. His mining ship might not be fancy, but it had the strongest power plant in the human fleet, perfect for jump-starting alien quantum drives. On the alien ship, a team of humans and aliens worked together in the engine room. The space was huge, with strange machines that hummed and pulsed with light. 6 alien engineers moved around checking readings, while 3 humans adjusted cable connections between the ships. "Power levels rising," called out an alien named Krex. "Field generator stability at 60% and climbing." Kelly Richards looked up from her workstation with a smile. "That should be enough for maneuvering thrusters. Want to test them?" The aliens looked at each other nervously. "It is not the proper procedure," said Krex. "We should wait until full power is restored." "But you need to move this ship soon," Kelly pointed out. "Your life support systems are running low. Even partial movement is better than none." An older alien engineer named Rek stepped forward. "The human is correct. We will test the thrusters." He turned to Kelly. "Show me how you would proceed." Kelly's approach was simple but creative. Instead of trying to power the whole ship at once, she focused on getting just the movement systems working. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. When the first test worked, the alien crew was amazed. More ships began trying Kelly's method. Within days, 15 alien vessels could move under their own power. It wasn't fast, but it was movement. On the Pathfinder, Dr. Frank Ellis continued his talks with alien scientists. Each day he learned more about the Galactic Conclave and its many species. What he learned worried him. "So let me get this straight," Frank said to the blue alien scientist Morel. "The Conclave has over 3,000 member species, all organized by technological level?" "Yes," said Morel. "Species are classified from Tier 1, the most advanced, to Tier 7, those just developing space travel. Earth would be classified as Tier 6 or 7. And what does that mean for us?" Morel looked uncomfortable. "Typically, Tier 6 species are monitored but not contacted. The Conclave waits until they reach certain milestones before official first contact." But we've already had first contact with you, Frank said. Yes, Morell agreed. That is the problem. Admiral Zikatar's distress call has created a complicated situation, especially since humans are helping us when, by Conclave standards, you should not be able to. Frank thought about this. We're not following your expected pattern. No, and that will concern many in the Conclave leadership. As they talked, Frank noticed something else strange. The alien scientists were fascinated by the way humans worked together. They watched as human engineers argued, brainstormed, and tried crazy ideas that sometimes failed but sometimes worked brilliantly. Why do you allow such disorder? Asked an alien scientist, watching two human engineers debate loudly about the best way to connect power systems. It's not disorder, Frank explained. It's how we find the best ideas. We challenge each other. We compete. The best solution wins. The aliens found this hard to understand. In their societies, every person had a specific role and rarely stepped outside it. The idea of a ship captain helping with repairs or an engineer suggesting changes to a scientist's work was foreign to them. But as the days passed, some aliens began to adopt human methods. Captain Gary's crew taught alien engineers about backup systems and manual overrides. Kelly showed them how to improvise repairs with available materials instead of waiting for perfect parts. One day, a critical power connector failed during a repair. The aliens said they needed to wait for a replacement, which would take days. But Gary's team showed them how to build a temporary connector using parts from a human shuttle. It won't last forever, Gary explained, but it will work long enough to get the job done. The alien engineers watched in amazement as humans used simple tools and raw strength to install the makeshift part. When it worked, one alien turned to Gary. Your solutions are inelegant but effective. Gary laughed. That could be humanity's motto right there. On the Pathfinder, Captain Susan Morgan received an urgent message. The diplomatic ships from the Galactic Conclave would arrive in 12 hours. Earth's leaders wanted her to represent humanity in the first official meeting. Susan felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Everything she said and did would shape how these powerful aliens viewed Earth. She called a meeting with her senior officers. We need to be ready, she told them. These diplomats might not be as friendly as the fleet we've been helping. Dr. Olivia Martinez, the ship's psychologist, spoke up. I've been studying the cultural information the aliens shared with us. The Conclave values order and hierarchy above all else. They might see our involvement as disruptive. Susan nodded. So we need to show them we respect their ways, while still standing our ground. And we have one big advantage, added Frank Ellis. Admiral Zakatar and his crew. They've seen what humans can do. They know we're trying to help. When the diplomatic fleet arrived, it was an impressive sight. 20 ships, each larger and more advanced than anything in the stranded fleet. The lead vessel was almost the size of a small moon, its surface gleaming with lights and strange materials. A message came from the flagship. This is High Commissioner Vrel of the Galactic Conclave. We are here to recover the exploration fleet and assess the situation. All non-conclave vessels are to maintain distance. Before Susan could respond, Admiral Zakatar sent his own message. High Commissioner, the human vessels are here at my request. They have been essential to our survival. I request they be included in all discussions. There was a long pause before the Commissioner responded. Very unusual, Admiral, but we will allow it. Captain of the human vessel, you may join the Admiral aboard our ship. Susan, Frank, and Kelly traveled to the massive diplomatic ship. The inside was even more impressive than Admiral Zakatar's vessel. Huge halls with ceilings that seemed to disappear into mist above. Strange plants that moved on their own. Aliens, of all shapes and sizes, many wearing elaborate clothing that seemed to indicate their importance. High Commissioner Vrel was tall and thin, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. When Susan was brought before him, he looked down at her with 6 yellow eyes. Captain Morgan of Earth, he said, his voice deep and echoing. This is an unexpected situation. You have involved yourself in conclave matters. Susan stood straight and proud. We responded to a distress call, Commissioner. That's standard procedure for any ship from Earth. Admirable but unauthorized, said Vrel. The proper protocol would have been to report the signal to your authorities, who would then contact the Conclave through established channels. We don't have established channels with the Conclave, Susan pointed out. This is our first contact with your civilization. The commissioner made a sound like rustling leaves. A regrettable complication. Admiral Zikatar should not have broadcast an open distress call in an uncharted sector. The admiral stepped forward. With respect, Commissioner. If I had not, my fleet would be lost. The humans have saved over 50,000 lives. Through highly irregular methods, said another alien diplomat. We have reviewed their repairs. They are using technology well below Conclave standards. Kelly couldn't stay quiet any longer. Our technology might not be as advanced as yours, but it works. We found solutions your engineers couldn't. The room went silent. Susan worried that Kelly had gone too far, but then Admiral Zekatar spoke. The human is correct. Their creative approaches have accomplished what our standard procedures could not. My chief engineer reports that several of their methods are being adopted by other ships in the fleet. High Commissioner Vrel seemed disturbed by this. Adopting primitive methodologies? This is highly irregular. It disrupts the natural order of technological progression. Susan felt her patience wearing thin. Commissioner, with all due respect, the natural order wasn't helping your people. Sometimes, you need a new perspective to solve old problems. As they argued, Dr. Martinez noticed something interesting. The lower-ranking aliens in the room were watching the humans with curiosity, not dismissal. Some were even nodding at Susan's words. The High Commissioner finally raised a hand for silence. Enough. The diplomatic corps will assess the situation and determine the appropriate response to this unauthorized contact. Until then, the human vessels may continue their assistance operations under Conclave supervision. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As they left the meeting, Admiral Zikatar pulled Susan aside. You have stirred much debate, Captain Morgan. The Conclave does not like change or surprises. Your species represents both. Susan smiled. Then, they better get used to it. Because if there's one thing humans are good at, it's surprising people. The news that alien diplomats had arrived spread quickly through both fleets. Humans and aliens who had been working side by side paused to wonder what would happen next. Would the rescue continue? Would Earth be welcomed into the galactic community? On Earth, leaders scrambled to prepare. The United Nations called an emergency session. They needed someone to represent Earth alongside Captain Morgan. They chose Ambassador Daniel Foster, a man known for his direct, honest approach to diplomacy. Within hours, a fast shuttle launched from Earth carrying the ambassador. When he arrived at the fleet 2 days later, Foster was both amazed and focused. The view of hundreds of alien ships alongside human vessels was beyond anything he had imagined, but he couldn't let himself be distracted by wonder. Captain Morgan, he said, shaking Susan's hand as he boarded the Pathfinder. Quite a situation you've gotten us into. Susan smiled. Just doing my job, Ambassador, responding to a distress call. And changing human history in the process, Foster added. I've been briefed on the Galactic Conclave. They sound complicated. That's one word for it, Susan agreed. They have rules for everything, and we've broken most of them just by being here. Foster nodded. Well, sometimes rules need to be broken. Let's go meet these diplomats. High Commissioner Vrel had set up his headquarters on the flagship of the diplomatic fleet. The massive ship dwarfed even the Pathfinder. Inside, it was like a small city, with aliens of all kinds moving through wide corridors and large open spaces. Foster and Morgan were escorted to a grand meeting hall. The room was circular, with raised platforms around the edges where different alien delegations sat. In the center was a table where High Commissioner Vrel waited with several aides. Ambassador Foster of Earth, Vrel said as they entered. Your presence here complicates an already difficult situation. Foster didn't back down. I'm here to represent the people of Earth in what I hope will be the beginning of a productive relationship with the Galactic Conclave. Vrel's skin rippled with colors. You misunderstand the situation, Ambassador. This is not a diplomatic meeting between equals. Earth has no standing in the conclave. You are here because Captain Morgan inserted your planet into a conclave matter. Foster remained calm. With respect, Commissioner, Earth became involved when your ship sent a distress call near our solar system. We responded as any decent civilization would. A noble sentiment, said a new voice. A different alien stepped forward from one of the platforms. This one was short and round with green skin and 3 arms. But the Commissioner is correct about protocols. I am Minister Curl of the Contact Division. It is my department that oversees first contact with developing worlds like Earth. Developing? Foster repeated. We may not have quantum drives, but Earth is a united spacefaring civilization. Barely, said Minister Curl. Your technology places you as a Tier 6 civilization. Standard protocol would be to observe your development for another century before initiating contact. Admiral Zekatar joined the conversation. Minister, I must point out that without Earth's intervention, my fleet would be lost. Their assistance has been invaluable. Using crude methods that should not work, said another alien diplomat. This one was tall with 4 legs and a body like a centaur. We have reviewed the repair logs. They are using fusion power to initiate quantum fields. It violates all standard engineering practices. But it works, said a new voice. Kelly Richards had entered the hall with Dr. Ellis. Sometimes the wrong solution is exactly what you need. High Commissioner Vrel looked displeased. This is not a technical discussion. We are deciding the proper classification and containment procedures for Earth. Foster's eyes narrowed. Containment? A standard procedure, explained Minister Curl. When premature contact occurs with a developing world, we establish quarantine protocols to limit cultural contamination while guiding the species to proper developmental milestones. You want to quarantine Earth? Foster asked, his voice rising. After we just saved thousands of your people? The hall erupted in multiple alien languages as delegates argued. Some supported the quarantine, while others pointed to the rescue effort as a reason for exception. Admiral Zekatar moved to Foster's side. Ambassador, you must understand. The Conclave has followed the same procedures for thousands of years. Change comes very slowly. Maybe too slowly, Foster replied. Where I come from, when something works, you don't ignore it because it doesn't follow the rule book. The argument continued for hours. Foster refused to accept any quarantine of Earth. He argued that humanity had earned the right to join the galactic community as equals, not as a developing species to be watched and guided. Finally, High Commissioner Vrel called for order. Enough. This debate serves no purpose. The protocols are clear. Earth will be classified as a Tier 6 civilization under monitoring status. A small conclave outpost will be established in your solar system to manage contact. Full integration will occur when Earth reaches appropriate technological milestones. The room went quiet. Foster looked at Susan, then at Zekatar. The Admiral's 4 eyes showed what might have been regret. No, Foster said simply. Excuse me? Vrel's skin darkened to deep purple. I said no, Foster repeated. Earth rejects those terms. We came here as friends and equals. We'll accept nothing less than mutual respect. Vrel's voice became cold. You have no standing to reject conclave terms, Ambassador. The decision has been made. Then we'll leave, Foster said. We'll take our ships, our engineers, and our crude methods back to Earth. You can explain to the 50,000 aliens we've been helping why the proper protocols are more important than their lives. The threat was clear. Without human help, many of the stranded ships would remain powerless. The repair work would take months longer. From the platforms around the room, murmurs grew louder. Many of the alien delegates had been watching the rescue efforts. They had seen humans working tirelessly alongside their own people. A delegate from one of the platforms stood. High Commissioner, I request special consideration for the humans. My ship would still be dead in space without their help. Another delegate rose. My people agree. The humans have shown exceptional creativity and generosity. More voices joined in. The hall became loud with debate again. High Commissioner Vrel's skin flashed with rapid color changes, showing his frustration. "This is highly irregular," he finally shouted, bringing silence back to the room. "You suggest we ignore thousand-year protocols because these humans helped with repairs?" "Not just repairs," said Admiral Zakatar. "They saved lives. They shared resources without demanding payment. They showed us new ways to solve problems." The Admiral turned to address the entire hall. "In all my years exploring the galaxy, I have never encountered a species like humans. They are young, yes. Their technology is not as advanced as ours. But they have qualities many of us have lost: adaptability, creativity, compassion without calculation." The hall was silent now, every alien listening. "Our society is ordered, logical, stable," Zikatar continued. "But when faced with the unexpected, we falter. When our perfect systems fail, we struggle to imagine alternatives. The humans do not think this way. They see problems as challenges to overcome, not failures to manage." High Commissioner Vrel seemed troubled. "Admiral, what exactly are you proposing?" "An exception," said Zakatar. "Classify Earth as a special case. Allow them limited contact rights normally reserved for Tier 4 civilizations." The hall erupted again. Such an exception was unprecedented. Many delegates argued it would undermine the entire classification system. Others pointed to the rescue as proof that humans were unique. 6 months had passed since the rescue of the alien Armada. Earth had changed more in those months than in the last century. The once quiet skies now held ships from a dozen worlds. The streets of major cities had visitors with blue skin or extra, limbs or bodies made of something not quite like flesh. In New York, a special building had been constructed to house the Conclave Embassy. Its strange curves and glowing surfaces made it stand out among the city's skyscrapers. Inside, Ambassador Daniel Foster prepared for another day of meetings with alien delegates. "Your schedule is full again today, sir," said his assistant. "The Frex delegation wants to discuss technological exchange, and the Pelnar ambassador has questions about Earth music." Foster smiled. The aliens were endlessly fascinated by human culture. Things humans took for granted. Music, art, competitive, sports were exotic concepts to species that had engineered such traits out of their populations. "And don't forget your call with Captain Morgan," his assistant added. "The Pathfinder leaves today." Foster nodded. Susan Morgan, now Admiral Morgan, was leading Earth's first diplomatic mission to the Conclave Central Worlds. Her promotion had been one of many changes in the months since first contact. On the other side of the city, Dr. Frank Ellis welcomed students to the new Academy for Interspecies Engineering. The large hall was filled with a mix of humans and aliens, all eager to learn. "Today we continue our discussion of hybrid technologies," Frank announced. "As we've seen, combining human practical approaches with advanced conclave science has created possibilities neither civilization imagined alone." In the front row, a tall blue alien named Morel took careful notes. Once a skeptical scientist from the diplomatic fleet, Morel was now one of the strongest advocates for human-alien cooperation. "Professor Ellis," called out a human student, "why did the Conclave never develop these hybrid approaches themselves? They had the technology for thousands of years." Frank considered the question. "The simplest answer is cultural. The Conclave species developed along similar paths, logical, structured, optimized. They engineered their societies to remove disorder and unpredictability, but they also removed the creative chaos that drives innovation in unexpected directions." Morel raised a hand. "If I may add, Professor, we believed our way was the only path to advanced civilization. Species with human traits typically destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. Earth is the exception that challenged our understanding." After class, Frank walked through the Academy gardens with Morel. The alien had become a friend over the months, despite their different backgrounds. "Sometimes I still cannot believe how much has changed," Morel said. 6 months ago, the Conclave would never have allowed a Tier 6 civilization to access our technology. Now there are exchanges happening on 100 worlds. Frank looked up at the garden's beautiful alien plants brought from worlds light years away. Humans are good at causing change. It's what we do. Not all in the conclave see that as positive, Morell warned. There are still many who fear the human way will disrupt thousands of years of stability. At the orbital shipyard above Earth, Kelly Richards, now Captain Richards, supervised final checks on the Pathfinder. The ship had been upgraded with a mix of human and alien technology. Its new hybrid drive system was unlike anything in the galaxy, less elegant than pure conclave designs but more adaptable and resilient. "Final checks complete, Captain," reported her engineer. "Admiral Morgan will be pleased. We're ahead of schedule." Kelly smiled. "Good. The Admiral doesn't like to be kept waiting, especially today." This was a historic mission. The Pathfinder would lead a small fleet of Earth ships to the heart of the galactic conclave. Humans would present their case for full membership, something that normally took centuries to achieve. Admiral Morgan arrived at the shipyard an hour later. As she walked through the corridors of the Pathfinder, crew members stood at attention. She had become something of a legend, the captain who had changed humanity's destiny. "Captain Richards," Susan said with a smile as she reached the bridge. "How's our ship?" "Ready and eager, Admiral," Kelly replied. "The new drive is performing better than expected. We should reach the conclave central worlds in 17 days. Susan looked around the bridge. It was the same ship, but so different now. Human and alien technology worked side by side. The crew included specialists from 3 different worlds. "Admiral," called a communications officer, "we have an incoming message from Deep Horizon." The screen lit up with the familiar face of Captain Gary Peterson. His mining ship had become famous during the rescue and now served as Earth's first dedicated diplomatic vessel. "Admiral Morgan," Gary said with a grin. "Thought I'd wish you luck before you head out. You're making history today." "We all are, Gary," Susan replied. "How are things at Jupiter Station?" "Busy. We've got engineers from 6 worlds working on the new hybrid mining systems. They argue all day about the right way to do things, but they're learning." After the call ended, Susan took her place in the command chair. The time had come. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. When the connection was ready, she spoke clearly. "This is Admiral Morgan to all vessels in the Earth diplomatic fleet. Final checks are complete. Prepare for departure." One by one, the ships of the fleet acknowledged. 6 vessels, each representing the best of human engineering combined with alien technology. They were small compared to conclave ships, but they carried Earth's hopes for the future. "Admiral," said Kelly, "Ambassador Foster is calling from Earth." Foster's face appeared on screen. "Admiral Morgan, on behalf of the people of Earth, I wish you a safe journey. What you do in the coming weeks will shape our place in the galaxy for generations to come." Susan nodded. "We won't let you down, Ambassador." "I know you won't," Foster replied. "Just remember what makes us special. It's not our technology or our resources. It's our humanity, our creativity, our adaptability, our willingness to help others even when there's nothing to gain. The human way," Susan said with a smile. "Exactly. The human way." As the call ended, Susan gave the order. The fleet's engines glowed to life, a new kind of light, born from the merger of 2 civilizations' knowledge. The ships moved away from Earth, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. In 17 days, they would reach the heart of the galactic conclave, a place no developing species had ever been invited. Back on Earth, humans and aliens gathered to watch the fleet's departure. In homes and schools and public squares, screens showed the ships growing smaller against the vastness of space. In the conclave embassy, a young alien child turned to its parent. Will they succeed? Will the conclave accept humans as equals? The parent, a veteran of the stranded fleet that humans had saved, looked up at the screen. If any species can change the conclave, it is humans. They do not accept limitations. When told something is impossible, they try anyway, and often prove us wrong. Admiral Zuccatar stood beside Ambassador Foster as they watched the fleet depart. The alien admiral had chosen to remain on Earth as the conclave's chief representative, a position of great honor. Your ships look small compared to ours, Ziktar observed. We're used to being the underdogs, Foster replied. It's when humans do our best work. Underdog? This term is not in my translator. Foster smiled. It means someone who isn't expected to win but fights harder because of it. Throughout our history, some of our greatest achievements came when the odds were against us. The Admiral made the bell-like sound of his laughter. Then perhaps the Conclave should prepare for surprise. They are not used to underdogs. As night fell over Earth, the diplomatic fleet passed the orbit of Mars. Soon they would engage their new hybrid drives and leap across the stars faster than any human ship had ever traveled. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, Admiral Morgan stood at the viewport watching the stars. Behind her, humans and aliens worked together, each bringing their unique strengths to the mission. Course plotted for the Conclave Central Worlds, reported the navigation officer. Hybrid drive standing by. Susan took a deep breath. This journey would take humanity farther from home than ever before. But in many ways, they had already traveled an even greater distance, from isolation to membership in a galactic community. Engage. Drive, she ordered. The stars outside the viewport streaked into lines of light as the ship accelerated beyond what humans had once thought possible. Ahead lay challenges and wonders no human had yet imagined, but they would face them the human way, with creativity, determination, and the hand of friendship extended to all. As Earth vanished behind them, Susan thought about how it all began, with a distress call from strangers and humanity's instinct to help. That simple choice had opened the stars to humankind. The Pathfinder and its sister ships raced toward the heart of the galaxy, carrying with them the best of what humanity had to offer. They would show the Conclave that sometimes the unexpected path, the human path, led to the greatest discoveries. And in doing so, they would change not just Earth's future, but the future of 1,000 worlds. The journey had only just begun,